Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. And today's continued coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. The fighting is becoming very intense. We are seeing an uptick in the use of fixed wing strike aircraft by the forces loyal to the Abiy regime. We continue to see other assets being employed as well. We have heard and received reports that the Ethiopian National Defense Forces have utilized heavy artillery against targets inside of Shia Robot. It is also reported that fixed-wing strike aircraft has hit targets within the vicinity of Shia Robot as well. But needless to say, the fighting is incredibly intense and continues as we speak. Now, with that being said, we are hearing reports, new reports, that the United States is starting to introduce forces into the region, looking specifically at the possibility of having to evacuate certain personnel from the former state of Ethiopia. If you look at the U.S. Embassy, and I'm going to scroll in on the old Google Earth here where you can see the U.S. Embassy complex, obviously a very large facility, sprawling facility with multiple buildings, and then obviously the main complex, as you can see. So in all likelihood, this would fall under quite possibly the United States Marine Corps. Now, if this operation were to swing over to JSOC, the Joint Special Operations Command, then obviously we could still see United States Marine Corps units. So if it's a JSOC specific mission, we would probably see the introduction of U.S. Marine Raiders. In all probability, this would be a fleet marine operation where we would see a quick reaction team of the United States Marine Corps. Actually, it's probably already has been introduced into the embassy compound. I would say at some point a unit already has landed at the international airport in Addis Ababa, also known as Finfinne. And some of those units probably have made their way to the embassy compound itself. We know there are amphibious assault ship assets off the coast of Djibouti and Eritrea as well, and we also know that that forces are staging in bases in Djibouti as well. But again, most likely, this would be strictly a fleet marine operation with fleet marine security forces and forces comprised of a marine amphibious expeditionary unit. But again, the situation is really deteriorating fastly. There are individuals associated with the Ethiopian federal government that appear to be getting ready to flee the country. Again, a lot of eyes right now are on what is going to happen within Debre Berhan and areas east of Debre Berhan. If the ENDF, if Amhara militias are able to stop the Tigrayan Defense Forces drive south from Shia Robot, then possibly some of this can be reevaluated in terms of those individuals loyal to Abiy Ahmed looking to possibly flee the country. But again, very intense firefights are occurring within the area of Shia Robot, south of Shia Robot. We've learned that Tigrayan Defense Forces have infiltrated Debre Sina and are advancing along the A2 highway and engaging the remnants of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, and they are also engaging forces of the Amhara regional militias as well. It is quite possible, again, as I talked about before, one of two things are occurring. We are looking at the Abiy Ahmed regime fleeing the country, quite possibly Abiy Ahmed himself getting ready to flee the country, or quite possibly he is moving towards a forward headquarters located in Debre Burhan to keep a closer watch on the fighting that is occurring. But again, very difficult picture to assess at this point. Again, the fighting is very intense and continues as we speak. We will continue to monitor the situation and obviously report. We're watching what the U.S. military is doing. Obviously, within the confines of the U.S. military and the higher echelon brass, there is tremendous concern about what is happening, and we could very soon see the fall of the Abiy regime, and then utter chaos could quite possibly ensue inside of the capital itself. There's not a great concern, I would say, in terms of either side taking aggressive action against the U.S. Embassy. At this point, we do not see that happening. But again, as a nation state breaks down, law and order also breaks down, and we could see a widespread looting as some of these law enforcement entities cease to operate. But again, that is the situation on the ground as we speak. Again, elements of the United States Marine Corps have been moved into the region, quite possibly even to the embassy compound itself, under cover of darkness and a clandestine operation to beef up security in the embassy, which is completely normal given the situation on the ground and the possible forward-facing situation on the ground that could occur in the days and weeks to come. Obviously, after the Afghanistan debacle, the current administration is seeking to make contingency plans to alleviate the exact same thing happening. Now, obviously, a much different scenario in terms of the opposing forces on the ground, neither of which are overtly hostile to the United States at this point. But again, perception becomes reality sometimes, and preparations are being made to protect U.S. assets on the ground as we speak. But again, very heavy fighting occurring. We're seeing the continued use of fixed-wing assets more liberally being employed by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, and heavy artillery assets being utilized directly in civilian areas now. So again, as things become more desperate, more draconian measures are going to be used, and as we're seeing now with direct airstrikes on civilian targets. I mean, we've already seen that take place with the dropping of dumb bombs on Mekelle, but we're now seeing fixed-wing aircraft strike targets in the area around Shia Robot, south of Shia Robot, north of Shia Robot. But again, a very fluid situation right now, and we will continue to monitor. Have a great day, everybody.